Seated. Ms. Bell?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're here today in the state of Ohio versus Austin Gura, case number 25-CR-1051. The defendant is present with counsel William Watson. We're here today for an information hearing. Preliminarily, Your Honor, the state would move to amend the information, that second paragraph where it says the value of said property being $1,000 or more but less than $7,500. The state would move to amend that amount to reflect the F4 amount, which would be, more than $7,500 but less than $150,000. And I believe the defense does not have an objection to that.
Mr. Watson, is to that motion?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it'll be amended to reflect that.
With that being said, it's the state's understanding the defendant is going to withdraw or is going to waive his right to have this case presented to the grand jury, then enter a plea to count 1, that being theft, a felony of the 4th degree. The defendant has 0 days of jail time credit. Victim impact statement, 2 victim impact statements have been returned in this case, and the defendant has filed for motion for intervention in lieu of conviction on December 15th, 2025.
All right, Mr. Watson, is to the motion for intervention.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. I filed that motion in good faith in talking with Mr. Gura. I know he may not be the quote-unquote normal candidate that falls under that, but Mr. Gura told me that he was drinking, that he smoked marijuana regularly, and on top of that, he does have some mental health issues with regards to bipolar and ADHD, and I know the court had some questions with regards to that. When we were in chambers and I went out to speak to Mr. Gura, he was making some text messages. He does have some answers for you when the court's ready to hear. But Your Honor, and I know that those issues may not have directly been the result of this crime. In other words, he wasn't taking the money to buy the drugs directly, but what he was doing was spending his money on things like that, and then taking the money and spending it on other things that he needs for his wife and his now, I believe, 2 young children.
Total 3.
3, right? Because he just had a third. So, Your Honor, I believe that statutorily he does qualify for the intervention program. I know that not only does it have to have a basis in the crime, but there has to be a treatment plan afterwards. And as I had expressed in chambers, if the court would allow him into the intervention program, it was my intention, our intention, to then proceed with an assessment to present that to probation in this court, see what they had recommended, and then have him follow those recommendations. But, Your Honor, I've spoken to Mr. Gura. He's prepared to answer. I know the court had some questions. He's prepared to answer questions if the court still does, but I believe that he does qualify for the program. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, well, with regard to intervention or no intervention, the thing that I am having difficulty with is determining that his drug and or alcohol usage or the any mental illness claims, how that contributed to his criminal behavior in this case. That's where I'm hung up. I don't see it. So convince me otherwise.
Well, again, Your Honor, as I was explaining, you know, he has problems concentrating. He has problems thinking clearly, and compounding that with the fact that he was drinking and smoking marijuana, you know, that was taking funds. I mean, he obviously has to pay for that. You know, he wasn't growing his own marijuana, so he was purchasing it. He was paying for it, and so on top of that, to deal with those problems, since he was I'll call him a bookkeeper, but he was in charge of the funds for the school band. He then started siphoning funds for his own personal use. Again, it wasn't directly to purchase the marijuana, but because of his drug and alcohol use, as well as his mental health issues, I do believe that those contributed to him then taking the money and then spending the money on other things. In this case, I know there were Amazon purchases, I know there was food purchases. However, had he not been spending money on alcohol and marijuana, he probably would have had money to cover a lot of those items. I'm not saying that
Well, at some point prior to 24, the summer of 24, he was not in charge of that money for the boosters. So what, I guess, is there something to indicate that he was engaged in the same activity because of his mental illness or drug issues? I mean, or did it just start when he had access to money that wasn't his?
I believe, Your Honor, and you can certainly inquire directly with my client, but I believe when he was using it before, and obviously he had the mental health issues before, as I had indicated, again, off the record in chambers, my client told me that he was diagnosed in his late teens.
Right. Well, the only, to that point, the only thing we have record of, based on what Mr. Gura told Mr. Clement, is some assessment in I think December of 24, and then no follow-up. That's all the indication we have with regard to any mental health treatment or diagnosis or other. I didn't even know there was a diagnosis.
Well, Your Honor, and all I can say is maybe Mr. Gura misunderstood the questions as he was working with probation, because he's expressed to me that not only was he diagnosed well over a decade ago, but he's been on different medications off and on since then, including Wellbutrin, to address his mental health issues. And again, Mr. Gura does have some answers with
All right.
specifics if the court wants to ask him.
I guess, Mr. Gura, you can try to convince me that one of the factors leading to these thefts was your mental illness or drug addiction. So tell me what one has to do with the other.
Thank you, Your Honor. As my public defender has alluded to, I was diagnosed with ADHD bipolar my late teens by a Dr. Levinson. I had continued treatment well into my current adult age, on and off due to insurance reasons. I've been using the drug and alcohol as kind of like a buffer to kind of fill in those holes of being without insurance or decent insurance with that.
So I'm not sure what that means. Does that mean you were taking money in order to pay for stuff, medical-wise?
No, Your Honor. I was using the money that I had siphoned towards stuff for my personal use, whereas Mr. Watson did say that I was using the money that I was earning from my jobs and everything to pay for those items, being the marijuana and the alcohol.
Well, how did you afford that habit before you got this booster gig?
It wasn't being used as much. I was trying to cope on getting my medication, filled as best as I can. I've been on a cycle of different medications throughout my entire life.
Who prescribes your medications currently?
Starting with Dr. Levinson back in my late teens, and then I had gone through Signature Health, and then my UH doctor.
When was all this?
Signature Health was probably, I would say, about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then I was also seeking counseling and therapy appointments through the Behavioral Wellness Center on Menor Avenue.
Well, that's been over a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you were assessed in December of 24 by Behavioral Wellness?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't follow through with that though, right?
Correct.
Okay. So when is the last prescription of mental health medication that you had?
Probably right around the same time, Your Honor. It would have been through my UH doctor. It would have been the bupropion 300 milligram. It was just really messing with me, so I had decided to stop instead of asking to be placed back down to the 150.
Okay, so you've got, and I'm not sure which of these relate. There are a whole bunch of Amazon charges. Throughout this record from June of 24 through March of 25, there's a whole bunch of Amazons. Those are probably a majority of what was done here. There's a whole bunch of food items. So how do these how do the Amazon purchases relate to you having to do them in order to feed your drug or alcohol issues?
With me being off my medication, Your Honor, I just wasn't in the right state of mind. I have major issues focusing on concentrating, and then once one negative thing happens, it tends to snowball.
Well, what were you buying from Amazon all these times?
Just stuff for my personal use, for stuff that my family had wanted.
All right, so you're not taking any medication now, right?
Not right now.
Okay,
I
so-
did reach out to another mental health provider that I had set up an intake appointment with prior to this court date.
Okay.
I did just recently have another daughter that I had to cancel that intake appointment for, but I have plans to reschedule that intake appointment as well.
Okay, so how do you compensate for the problems that you had now that you're not on medication? Ever since, this all blew up in earlier in 25, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what's gone on since then? You talked about how you fed the void of the medication with marijuana and alcohol. So how have you filled that void in the last, say, 7, 8, 9 months?
I haven't fed it with anything. It's just been a lot of self-isolation and trying to work through it. I've put my focus on other things between work, trying to get my family, taken care of.
Okay. Anything else you want to say in support of this motion?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Bell?
Thank you, Your Honor. I had the
Have a seat.
opportunity to review the pre-sentence report and the report that Ms. Friend generated. The state fails to see the nexus between the crime here and any alcohol, drug use, and the mental health. So the state would ask that that motion be denied. Thank you.
All right, I reviewed Ms. Friend's report, and I'm not sure where some of the information comes from. It's information that is undated. Mr. Gura kind of shed some light on that. But I don't see how the criminal behavior in this case was a factor leading to, or the drug use or mental illness was a factor leading to the criminal behavior. So I'm going to deny that motion. Mr. Watson, how does he want to proceed from here?
Listen, we still have expungement. We should go forward right now. Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. I have had a chance to fully pre-try this matter with the prosecutor. I believe full discovery has been provided. I've also talked to my client not only previously, but just confirmed with them he is prepared to enter a change of plea as outlined previously by the state. It'll be a plea by information, so he understands that by entering a plea that way, that he'll be waiving his right to have this case presented to the grand jury. Furthermore, he understands that he'll be waiving certain constitutional rights, and no threats or promises have been made in order for him to do so, Your Honor.
All right, do you have the written plea of guilty?
I do, Your Honor.
You've got the waiver, don't you?
I do not, Your Honor.
I
I
have-
gave everything back to him.
Let me have the written plea of guilty, and Bill can keep the waiver.
Do you want the paper clip?
Yeah.
May I approach?
All right, Mr. Gura, before I accept your guilty plea, I need to determine that you know and understand the constitutional rights you'll be waiving, the consequences of your guilty plea, and the maximum penalty I could give you. And I need to be satisfied that your guilty plea is being made freely, knowingly, and voluntarily. So I'm going to ask you questions. If you don't understand the question, let me know. If you want to talk to Mr. Watson some more, let me know, and I'll give you more time. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you,
I am 33 years old, sir.
and how far did you go through school?
I worked on my associate's degree.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, Your Honor.
Prior to coming to court, have you taken any drugs or alcohol or any prescription medication within the last 48 hours?
No, Your Honor.
And you've been diagnosed with what in the past? What mental illness?
ADHD, ADD, bipolar, manic depressive, Your Honor.
Are you able to understand what's going on here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Did you get a copy of this information that was filed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about it?
No, Your Honor.
All right. You understand you have a right to have your case presented to the grand jury for them to decide whether or not to indict you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you discuss that right with your attorney?
Yes, Your
Are
Honor.
you going to waive that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I witnessed the defendant sign the waiver of indictment. Mr. Watson and I have signed the same.
All right, I'll accept the waiver of indictment. Now, Mr. Gura, you have a constitutional right to have a trial, either to me or to a jury of 12 Lake County citizens. You understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you go to a jury trial, all 12 members must agree to a guilty verdict before you can be found guilty. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you go to trial, the prosecutor will call witnesses to testify against you. Do you understand the prosecutor must prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt at a trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
After the witnesses are done testifying for the prosecutor, you have the constitutional right to have your lawyer cross-examine the witnesses. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you go to trial, you have the right to have witnesses come here and testify for you. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If those witnesses refuse to come to court, I'll issue an order called a subpoena to make them testify. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to testify at trial if you want to. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the constitutional right to not testify at trial if you do not want to. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you decide not to testify at trial, nobody is permitted to comment on that decision. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you go to trial and you're found guilty, you have the right to appeal the guilty finding. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you file an appeal, you have the constitutional right to have a lawyer represent you in the appeal. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you could not afford a lawyer, one would be provided at no cost to you. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you file an appeal, you're entitled to have a transcript of all the hearings in this case. Do you understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you waiving that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you could not afford a copy of those transcripts, they'd be given to you at no cost. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you plead guilty today, you will not have the right to appeal the guilty finding. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about any of these rights?
No, Your Honor.
Do you still want to plead guilty to this charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand by pleading guilty, you're fully admitting your guilt to the charge.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand by pleading guilty to this felony, you're voluntarily giving up your freedom for whatever period of time I could sentence you to prison, to jail, or to community control.
Yes, Your Honor.
In this case, theft is a felony of the 4th degree. It carries an 18-month maximum prison sentence and a $5,000 maximum fine. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
That if a prison term is imposed in this case, you might have to serve a period of post-release control as part of your sentence for up to 2 years under the parole authority.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you are placed on post-release control and violate any conditions, the parole authority could send you back to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If that violation is a new felony, then you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If that were to occur, the maximum prison sentence for the violation would be the greater of 12 months of the time left under post-release control. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand that if a prison term is imposed, you are eligible for judicial release?
Yes, Your Honor.
I could place you on community control for up to 5 years, but if you violate any conditions, I could send you to prison for 18 months. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, has anybody promised you I would be lenient on you just because you're pleading guilty?
No, Your Honor.
Has anybody promised you what I will sentence you to in this case?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand I do not have to follow a sentencing recommendation of either the prosecutor or your lawyer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to talk to Mr. Watson before pleading guilty today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has he discussed everything about your case and answered all of your questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with the advice he's given you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you been threatened or coerced in any way to plead guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
Are you freely, knowingly, and voluntarily entering your guilty plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Bell, if the case went to trial, what would the evidence show?
Thank you, Your Honor. Had this matter proceeded to trial, the state would have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that between June 1st, 2024 and March 30th, 2025, Austin Gura was acting as the treasurer for the Willoughby South High Band Boosters. In that role, he had access to certain funds and access to money. He used that money to make personal transactions online at local retailers in the amount of $8,166, and he did not have the consent of the boosters to make those personal purchases.
All right, Mr. Watson, anything to add to those facts?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Gura, did you hear what Ms. Bell said that the facts would show if the case went to trial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are those facts true?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is your plea to theft, a felony of the 4th degree?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Mr. Watson?
This is the same form I went over with you out in the hallway. The only thing that was changed, I told you there was a typo there. It's a max of $5,000. I need you to sign right there. Today's date is the 21st.
Your Honor, I witnessed the defendant sign the written plea of guilty. Mr. Watson has signed the same, and I signed it as well.
Mr. Gura, is this your signature on the written plea of guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you sign it voluntarily?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you want me to accept your written plea of guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll accept the written plea of guilty. Defendant was present. Mr. Watson advised of all of his rights, made a knowing, intelligent, voluntary waiver. He understands the nature of the charge, the consequence of his guilty plea, and the maximum penalty. Find it to be knowing, intelligent, and voluntary. Will accept his plea of guilty and find him guilty of theft, felony 4. There has been a pre-sentence report prepared. Any reason not to go to sentencing, Mr. Watson?
No, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Well, in addition to everything I've already outlined to the court with regards to his issues, he is married. He's got, at the time of the offense, he had 2 young children. As just explained, his wife just gave birth to another daughter, so he's got a young family. He has no prior record, in my knowledge, of any kind, certainly not a felony record. I believe he's very remorseful for what he did. He's told me ever since I met him that he wants to do what's right, he wants to take responsibility, and he wants to pay back what he took. And he's here today, he's taking full responsibility. He's told me that he's got a plan to pay every penny back as soon as possible. It's not gonna happen overnight, he doesn't have it in cash right now, but if the court were to consider a community control sanction, again, he is employed, and he's already budgeted to make sure that this is knocked out as soon as possible. I'm respectfully asking the court to take into consideration his mental health issues, the fact that he was drinking and smoking pot during this offense, and the fact that he doesn't have a prior record. He is a father to 3 young kids, and he is trying his best to do what's right, Your Honor. So I'm respectfully asking the court to consider a community control sanction. Thank you.
Mr. Gura, what do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
Your Honor, I just would like to, from the bottom of my heart, apologize for everything that I've done. I've had to live with everything that's happened since, it has been brought to light, and the amount of apologies that I could give is not going to change what I did. I am definitely a man of action, and I would like to do everything in my power and then some to make this right for this group. As Mr. Watson did say, I do have a very young family. I am the only one in my household working currently. I put in upwards of 55 to 60 hours a week just to make sure, everything is taken care of, and then that I could start to budget to pay back this amount in hopefully, a year and a half tops, if not very much sooner. Thank you.
Well, how long have you been involved with the band boosters altogether?
With the band boosters, it was a total of a year. I had volunteered with that group for 10 years beforehand.
Doing what? Volunteering doing what?
Volunteering, moving equipment, chaperoning children, stuff like that, Your Honor.
And what prompted you to take over this role that you were handling the money as a treasurer?
Your Honor, at the time, they really didn't have anybody lined up, and I, in talks with my wife, who was the current president at the time, just wanted to do something right for the children, which ended up being a complete and utter failure in my part, Your Honor.
All right, so when did this start in relation to when you started being the treasurer?
I would probably put it after Thanksgiving of that first year, Your Honor, up until March.
And so you took over this, what, in June?
I want to say either late May or early June, Your Honor.
Okay, and so why did it take 6 months for you to start stealing?
At the time, Your Honor, I was doing everything right by the book, and then I started to struggle mentally, financially. It just seemed like I was backed into a corner, and I made an erroneous decision.
What do you mean backed into a corner?
It just felt like everything was against me, Your Honor. Whether it be the world, the finances, trying to be the best role model I can for my daughters, to be the best husband I can for my wife.
Okay, so what were you spending this money on?
Personal matters, stuff on Amazon for our house at the time. There was a couple instances of whether it be a coffee or food from a vending machine, Your Honor, while I was at work.
For instance, on 9/23/24, you got an Amazon for $266.43, an Amazon for $21.39, and an Amazon for $295.20. Any recollection of those things?
No, Your Honor.
What about all these ATM withdrawals? November of '24, within the space of 15 days, $1,250. Where'd that money go?
Without knowing or seeing the time frame, there were a couple of events that I had to get changed for and everything. With being outside of regular banking hours for the job that I was at, sometimes going inside wasn't the easiest. Other times it was just for my personal use, whether it be to have like gone out to the bar, stuff like that, Your Honor.
You got a savings withdrawal on July 8th of '24 for $5,000. What was that all about?
Again, without seeing everything, I do not know off the top of my head. I know stuff for the savings account, I would move over via the app, or when I'm in the branch itself, they would have to withdraw it and deposit it back in.
All right, I mean, it appears to me you just saw an opportunity and took it. That's what appears to me. Anything else you want to say?
No, Your Honor.
And you said you're going to pay this back, you think, in a year and a half. How did you come up with a year and a half?
With my current paycheck and my hours worked, Your Honor, I had budgeted a minimum of $300 per pay period, whether it be twice or in certain instances 3 times a month, that I would somehow, I don't know how funds get paid back, whether I come to the court and pay it.
No, you'll go through your probation officer.
Okay.
Now, are you, since this all happened, since this all blew apart in what, April of '25, you spent a lot of time avoiding meeting with certain people of the organization. Have you indicated to anybody that other people are to blame for this?
No, Your
Other
Honor.
members of the organization?
Absolutely not, Your Honor. It was just me not wanting to face the actions that I had done and man up in that moment.
All right, but you haven't told other people in the community that there were other certain individuals involved?
No.
Okay. Ms. Bell?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that there are some current members of the Willoughby South High Band Boosters here who would like to make a statement.
All right, whoever would like to talk, just tell me your name and whatever it is you'd like me to know.
Your Honor, my name is Betty Creter, Bettycreter. Your Honor, my name is Betty Creter. I am the treasurer of the Willoughby South Band Boosters. Prior to serving in this role, I was the assistant treasurer under Austin Gura. During the time, my access to the organization's financials were limited, which restricted my ability to fully review and understand the organization's finances. As the school year progressed, concerns began to arise from parents and fellow board members regarding the boosters' finances. Unfortunately, by the spring of 2025, it became clear that serious harm had already occurred. When I began investigating these concerns, I immediately identified financial irregularities. When I confronted Mr. Gura, the situation became even more alarming. On April 5th, 2025, Mr. Gura sent me a text message stating, for the time being, can we omit those as I look into it? I'd rather not deal with the board. And it continued on. This message heightened concerns regarding transparency and accountability. A more in-depth review of the accounts revealed that the harm went far beyond a few questionable charges. Unauthorized charges dated back to July of 2025, just 1 month after Mr. Gura assumed the role of treasurer. The charges were initially small but increased significantly over time, including larger transactions such as Ticketmaster purchases in September of 2025. To date, over $8,000 in unauthorized charges have been documented. However, due to poor record keeping and missing documentation, the full extent of this loss will never be known. The Willoughby South Band Booster supports band programs for students in grades 6 through 12. This means children as young as 10 years of age were directly impacted by this theft. These funds are intended to support music education, lessons, performances, and opportunities that many families rely on to make participation possible. Mr. Gura himself was a member of the Band Boosters and the marching band many years, and he understood the importance of these funds. As a result of this theft, the organization is now forced to spend time, energy, and resources repairing the damage instead of focusing on supporting the students. We face increased scrutiny from parents and the community. The trust that took years to build has been deeply damaged. The institutional harm exceeds far beyond financial loss and has lasting effects on the boosters, the students currently in the program, future students, the school district, and the broader community. We respectfully ask the court to consider the financial, emotional, and institutional impact of these actions as we work to rebuild. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, my name is Stacy Estvander, Stacey Estvander. I'm speaking to you on behalf of the Willoughby Band Boosters. I am the current president, or the vice president during Austin's term as treasurer. The Band Boosters is a volunteer-run nonprofit that exists solely to support student musicians in grades 6 through 12. Its ability to function depends entirely on trust. Trust from families, students, donors, volunteers, and community partners. The defendant held a position of financial authority within this organization, and his actions represent a profound breach of that trust. As a result of his conduct, the organization suffered harm well beyond our monetary loss that has already been outlined. Core operational decisions were made based on inaccurate and misleading financial information. This left the organization unable to plan responsibly, fundraise appropriately, or meet existing obligations, placing us in immediate crisis rather than normal operation. The organization also suffered institutional harm. We lost established service providers due to unpaid obligations from the prior year, damaging long-standing professional relationships and disrupting essential services that directly support our students. These relationships are built over time and they can't easily be replaced. The impacts extended to numerous individuals. Volunteers were forced to divert countless hours away from student support to prepare financial records, respond to confusion within our community, and restore basic credibility. Families and students experience stress and uncertainty in an organization meant to provide opportunity and enrichment. The harm has been compounded by ongoing conduct. Even after the discovery of the theft, the defendant has continued to tell former students other current and past booster board members are responsible for the wrongdoing. This has caused reputational damage, undermined community confidence, and unfairly shifted suspicion onto innocent volunteers. This was not an isolated or victimless incident. The effects reached students, families, volunteers, service providers, and the broader community. Rebuilding trust, restoring relationships, and reestablishing stability in a student-centered nonprofit is a lengthy process, and the damage will persist long after sentencing. I respectfully ask the court to consider the seriousness of the organizational harm, the breach of trust involved, the number of people affected, and the continuing impact of these actions when determining an appropriate sentence. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state is deeply troubled by the conduct in this case. It isn't your run-of-the-mill theft from Walmart or some big corporation. Here, Mr. Gura took advantage of a position of power, a position of trust that he was given, and really who he's harming here is the students, the countless students that work tirelessly to help raise that money, their parents who help support those students and donate their time and energy. And Mr. Gura just took advantage of that situation in order to advance his own lifestyle, get DoorDash, get a fun lunch out, order Amazon, ripping off all those kids' time and hard work. The state would ask that Mr. Gura be asked to pay back restitution in the amount of $8,166 to the band boosters. The state recognizes that this is a felony of the 4th degree, and there's a presumption for community control. So the state does believe that's appropriate, and that would give Mr. Gura the opportunity to continue to work to pay back that restitution. The state would also ask that mental health and any drug and alcohol treatment be evaluated for those needs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report and the report by Ms. Friend. Reviewed the victim impact statements. I've listened to Mr. Gura, listened to counsel, considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. I don't know if during that period of time for roughly 10 months that you were in charge of this organization, if you gave any thought beyond the immediate thought of getting what you wanted to get, because Ms. Esvander is right on target when she says there were a myriad of people harmed here. People, the organization, not only the organization, but the organization is made up of people. The people who make up the organization exist and function to support those 6th through 12th graders that need these funds for a functioning band and band program. I don't think I don't, strangely enough, you being a member of that band when you were in school, I don't think you ever gave it a second thought beyond what your immediate gratification was. And I don't know, as you sit here now, that you realize the extent of the damage that you've caused. And it disturbs me. That's why I asked you this question, that there's rumblings out there by you through other people that others were to blame for this. But setting that aside, any one of these people or any one person in this organization who goes to a local business and requests a donation to support the band risks being rebuffed, because why would I give money when it's going into a black hole? And it seems like they don't even know the extent of this, that they can't recreate things that that you destroyed in effect. So you've done a lot of damage to these folks. And you know, by your own statement, you're going to pay them back within a year and a half, roughly. Well, you're going to pay them back, okay? Because not paying them back is a bad option for you. Okay? But if you are, like you said, if you truly apologize to the folks that were affected and for what you did, then you're going to want to pay them back, but we're going to see. Okay? So in consideration of all the factors in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13, I'm going to place you on community control for 4 years. You're going to serve 90 days in a Lake County jail. I'm going to grant you work release so you can work, generate funds, and between these folks, you're going to have to pay them back and support yourself in the same process. You are to provide a weekly schedule to the Sheriff's Department at least 4 days in advance so they know what your schedule is. And you'll be released 1 hour before that scheduled start. You're to be back in the jail 1 hour, no later than 1 hour after your shift ends. You're to make no stops anywhere else in between your trip to work and your trip back to the jail. You'll be subject to screening when you come back from your shift. You're to have no illicit drugs or alcohol, and you'll be screened during the period of your probation. You're going to get a mental health evaluation, and you're going to follow all the recommendations. You're to get a drug and alcohol evaluation, follow all those recommendations. You're to see only one doctor and one dentist and one pharmacy for prescription medication. You're to take your medication only as is prescribed. You're going to sign releases so probation can get your records. Maintain full employment. You're to have no contact with the South High School Band Booster Organization or the individuals involved. You're going to make restitution to the booster organization in the amount of $8,166. And you're going to provide a schedule to your probation officer as to how you're going to pay that money back and in what amount and in what timed increments. and you're going to pay the cost and supervision fees. Mr. Clement, any other terms you think are applicable? Mr. Gura, do you understand the terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any question about the terms?
No, Your Honor.
If you violate the terms, the state will file a motion to terminate your community control. If I find you violated, and you face 18 months in prison. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Bell?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Watson?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, we're